Every day they're out collecting for us.
What they're really doing is pushing their own agenda.
You better shut her mouth or I'm gonna do it.
That's enough. It's you lot, is it? The gays?
Yes, lesbians and gays support the minors.
What's going on?
Thank you.
So I'm going to start with the director and the screenwriter, if I might. And can you just describe for us, because I think maybe a lot of people here don't understand the conditions under which this story takes place. So can you sort of set the tone for us in Britain at the time that this movie takes place and describe what was going on?
Thank you for passing that to me, Matthew. With just a blink of your eyes. That's how he directed the film, actually, just glances like that. Margaret Thatcher in 1984 was in power, and the story takes place against the backdrop of the miners' strike, which was at the time that she was making an ideological decision, really, to take apart trade unions and the strongest of the trade unions, which was the National Union of Mine Workers. And we joined the story just sort of as the strike begins. And how many pits are closing at this point? Help me. 20. First of all, 20. So we're looking at 20,000 job losses already at the beginning of the film, and the communities that are being completely devastated because their single source of livelihood was being taken away. And at that time as well, you have a group of gay and lesbian people. Gay and lesbian people at that time are marginalized, victimized by the tabloids, bullied by the police. So two groups, really, which are under attack. And it's in those circumstances that they come together in the story.
And Matthew, now, you know, cut to whatever it is, 30 years later, is this story well known in England? Is this something that everybody would sort of grow up knowing, or is this kind of new information for everybody?
This is pretty much astonishing news for everybody. And certainly for me, when I read the script, I couldn't believe that it's a true story. It's such a perfect story that that is hard to believe. But also that we don't know it, that we haven't heard it. That's equally hard to believe. And we get this again and again. It's a kind of a scandal, although Stephen always says the other side of that is that he thought, fantastic.
Yeah. I just saw the Imitation Game that deals with human rights and sexual preference rights and everything. It brings the theme to the modern audience about how we are so close of that terrible time. So do you have a comment about it?
I think this movie is going to be a phenomenal success globally. And I just really, be careful, Mike. And I'm really excited in it being shown in parts of the world where it's still really tough to be part of any minority community, not just the LGBT community, and perhaps in places where trade unions are still under attack. And I know I shouldn't say this, but in places where it's not allowed to go in, it will get in because it'll be smuggled in. And that gives me great comfort to think that people will listen to that, and maybe it will spur them to action, maybe it will give them some strength, which, and of course, at the end of the day, unity is strength. That's what it's all about. You know, we are just one world. Human.
Ben, you know, obviously any period piece has to have relevance in our day, as is what you're saying. Can you speak a little bit about this as a sort of young person coming?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think something that was really a real experience was, I remember Stephen sitting us down and really kind of giving us almost a history lesson in gay history and gay culture. And really trying to ground yourself in the time period and the taboos of the time period, and understand the degree to which the gay community was vilified and marginalized, and how homophobia was omnipresent in the media, in day-to-day life. You take for granted a lot of liberties that are present today. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of places, you know, there still is a long way to go today. Mm-hmm. But you realize how far we've come. And I think even in 30 years, you know, it's important not to forget that. And I think it's a testament to the courage displayed by Mike and the team, you know, realizing how much, when you're constantly being beat down and you're constantly being told something's wrong with you, you know, and Sean was saying this morning about, you know, these two communities, you realize they've got that in common, and so when they could find solace and strength in unity, that's kind of what moves the story forward. And I think, yeah, like Mike was saying, if someone in a working class town anywhere, you know, who feels like maybe there's something wrong with them can go and see this film and walk out feeling a little bit better about themselves and feeling a little bit, you know, shit, maybe I'm not that bad, then I think it's a success.
What the movie does really, really well is make people realise actually political engagement, that activity, can be transformative, exciting, wonderfully funny. I mean, the laughs that we had throughout that year were incredible. And, you know, politicians have to say that they want young people to engage with politics, but I don't think they're telling the truth there, because they don't want people to get involved with politics. What this movie does is shows a different type of politics, a politics that really has sincerity and meaning from the grassroots. And I think that this is a bomb, this movie. It's fantastic. Do you know what I mean? It's just going to galvanise people to action, I hope.
What's this?
Don't those women ever sleep?